Hey guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge. Do you give a hoot about your nanny? This is a copy of the CRKT Hootenanny designed by Ken Onion. This copy is about 40% less money than the CRKT Hootenanny. Right now, you can get the Hootenanny for around $34 US. It's hard to find it at that price, but I've got a link for Amazon at that price. Most places are charging about $45 US for that knife. This knife is around $22 US. Is it worth it? Would I suggest that you rather just go get the Hootenanny? Well, keep watching and find out. All right, the first thing I want to do is go over something I haven't talked about for a while, and I know I've got a lot of new viewers since the last time I talked about it. And that's my perspective on copies. Clones. I consider clones to be verboten. I don't like clones at all, but how do I define that word? I define a clone to be, well, let's back up a step. This knife, I would consider this knife a clone if it had Ken Onion's logo on it, or if it said CRKT on it somewhere, or if it said Hootenanny on it somewhere. That would be a clone. I consider a knife a clone, or any device a clone, when it's trying to trick the consumer into thinking they're getting the brand name product when they are not getting the brand name product. I call this a copy. There's no attempt here to say that this is a Hootenanny. There's no attempt to say this was designed by Ken Onion. There's no attempt to say this is by CRKT. It's very clear when you buy it. None of those names and words are used. And so I call it a copy. And I'm okay with copies, but I do not do clones. This copy was for sale at GearBest, and I got it from GearBest. But by the time I got it, they no longer have it. So the place to get this is Aliexpress. And so I've got a link to Aliexpress down below. This knife is $22.33 US. You can get $3 off if you are not a registrant at Aliexpress right now. So you can sign up and get a coupon. That equals about $30 Canadian, about 20 euros, about 17.5 British pounds. So now let's talk about the knife. We've got G10 handle scales, solid G10, quite good. I think the back here, this piece here, is probably G10 as well. So we've got a back spacer with jimping all the way up it. Lanyard hole placement is perfect. Pocket clip is okay, but it's just like the original pocket clip that Ken Onion designed. So I can't really complain about that too much. I do like Ken Onion's designs. There's a little bit of jimping here by the thumb rest, and there's a little bit of a relief cut there as well. Let's see if I can get a close-up of that. So there you go. You can see how they made that there. And then the spine of the blade is smooth, a little bit of gentle jimping up there, and that's the perfect spot for if you put your finger out and do this kind of cutting. So I like that quite a lot. Drop point blade, hollow grind, nice big belly on it. There's a forward choil, and this forward choil has got jimping on it. The jimping there is not terrible. The liners are fairly thick, and that's why this one's got a little bit of relief cut in it so that the spring can act properly for the liner release. Ball bearings in here. The original's got IKBS ball bearings. These are simply steel ball bearings in a white nylon cage. Is it a white nylon cage, or is it? I haven't taken this thing apart yet. I'll take it apart and show you pictures. Well, I learned something when I went to take it apart. It does not have a fixed pivot. This is a free spinning pivot with a very smooth back. It's a very slight cone. It's a little bit higher at the tip than the rest. But I didn't try super hard to undo this, but I undid these other screws, opened it up. There's no skeletonizing at all. And so if you can't live with easily being able to take this pivot pin off or open, then you don't want this. If you don't mind doing a little bit of work to get this open, you know, putting something on this side that makes it sticky so that you can hold it. They did use some thread locker on these other screws, so I'm sure they used it on the pivot pin as well. Worst case scenario is that I take my Dremel and I carve a thin line in there so that I could use a flat screwdriver on this side, a standard driver basically, that's what they're called, and the Torx T8 on this side, and then take it apart. That's the worst case scenario, and I've done that on some knives. But if you don't want to do that and you don't like free spinning pivot, then this knife is not for you. You can see that the detent ball is stainless steel. The detent is very good. It's got enough retention to hold the knife closed when you want it to be closed and keep it that way. And very easy to flip this knife. Very, very easy. And you can do the light switch pulling straight back, or you can push down. There's jimping up here on the flipper tab right there. There's some jimping on either side of it. Well, the front side is the choil on this side. So that works very well. Blade alignment when it's closed, as close to perfect. Not quite perfect, but very, very close to that. The handle comes back like this. Ken Onion designed a handle that sits in the hand very, very well back there. Very, very comfortable. Even in a reverse grip, it's super comfortable. Even a reverse works quite well when you're pulling back like this. Your typical reverse grip is like this. That's your typical reverse grip with your cutting edge forward. But when you turn it this way, surprisingly, that's comfortable too. Every grip I've tried is quite comfortable, except for this forward grip. My finger right here, I don't know if you can see the marks on it right now. I can, just a little bit. That's just from grabbing it now for like 5 seconds, and it leaves marks on your finger. It's a little too aggressive, in my opinion. That's easy to solve with a little bit of sandpaper. And, well, it might take a little bit of time because it's a little bit round, or a round file. And you can make that a bit smoother and make that much more comfortable if you like everything about it otherwise. Little decorative lines in the G10 right there. Otherwise, it's just flat G10 and good Torx screws. Like, it's a well-made knife. Is this better, or do I recommend the original over this one or not? Before I get to that answer, let's talk about all the dimensions on this thing. We've got a weight of 138 grams, 4.9 ounces, just under 5 ounces. The cutting edge from the factory, well, it didn't cut that great. 260 on my cutting the stuff. 200 is considered sharp. Bigger number is more dull. So 260, which is surprising because the thickness behind the grind is very low. Let's get to that in just a second. The cutting edge length, 8 centimeters, 3.16 inches. Blade length, tip to the G10, 8.33 centimeters, 3.28 inches. The blade thickness, almost 3.5 millimeters, 0.137 inches. The blade depth this way is an inch, 2.54 centimeters. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, as I was saying, 0.42 millimeters. That's 0.0165 inches. Generally, my target is to be 0.5 millimeters, so this is thinner than that. I didn't say it before, this is 9CR18 Mov Steel, and CRKT's Hootenanny is 8CR13. This is a step up from 8CR13, and I see no reason for them to lie about the steel they're using. This is a Chinese steel made at a Chinese factory, and I have done some testing cutting with this, and it behaves quite well, and it's a good steel. As far as the steel goes, I like this better than 8CR13, even on this specific knife. Now the lengths and dimensions on the handle. Handle length 11.69 centimeters, 4.6 inches. The grip area in here is about 9.8 centimeters, 3.86 inches. The thickness of the handle, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.4 centimeters. That's 0.55 of an inch, just over half an inch thick. The handle depth this way is the same when it's open or closed. Well, it's about a millimeter difference, but I'm calling it the same. 3 centimeters, 1.18 inches. And the total length of this knife is 19.9 centimeters, which is just about 7 3/4 of an inch. I didn't do the metric or the imperial. Let's do it this way. 7 13/16. So that's the dimensions and everything. I've already given you the price for it. Is it worth it? I think so. I think I would like this one better than the original because I really do like G10. I like the looks in the original an awful lot. Here's a good high quality picture of it. But this is available in the blue, and sometimes I like nice flashy. The blue's just a really nice color. I'm attracted to blue. My favorite color is red, but I like blue quite a lot as well. You can also get this in black G10 as well. I'm not going to recommend one over the other. It really is something, it's up to your call. Quality-wise, hey, the original Hootenanny is a good knife. And I think this is also a good knife. It costs about 40% less money. So if you're really tight on funds, I would suggest that you get this. If you're not all that tight on funds and you like the original Hootenanny, get the original Hootenanny. I've got links down below for both. The best price I could find for the original Hootenanny was at Amazon, so I've got a link for that down below. And $37.87. Like at Blade HQ, it's like $45. So a good $8 more. And most other places are the same, around the same price as Blade HQ. So there you go. The unique features, well, it's got a forward choil with jimping on it. That's kind of unique. Other than that, it's got a hollow grind, which is being less and less done these days, and that's too bad. I love hollow grinds. Like, you can sharpen this thing 40, 50 times before it starts getting thick behind the grind. Whereas you do that on a full flat grind and you're going to be getting, quite thick behind the grind pretty soon. So I like this knife. I like the design. Ken Onion did a great job with it. This company, it's a no-name brand, but Aliexpress uses the word Mikey or Miker for this. But I don't know if that's just something that helps them designate it or if that's a real name for the brand or not. It didn't say anything on the box. The packaging was totally blank. And the only thing written on this knife anywhere is 9CR18 MOV right there. So, but the lockup is great. They did a good job with the detent. The action's awesome. Blade alignment's great. There's a lot of room for wear on this knife. The execution that they did on this knife is very, very good. I've had some Hootenannys in my hand, and I dare say I like this better, but the Hootenanny's good. It's also got ball bearings. Like I said, it's got the IKBS system in it. So excellent lockup, excellent action, very good design, and you can say that about both of them. The only negative is pocket clip is right side only, and it's not all that deep. Let's show you in my pocket. Well, in my stand-in pocket. And there you go. Comes in like that. That's what you've got sticking out. That's a little less than 2 centimeters, a little over about, that's not quite 3/4 of an inch. It's about 5/8 of an inch sticking out, maybe a little bit more. So the pocket clip works, feels good, looks good. It doesn't get hot in the hand. And the knife, very comfortable in hand. Even if you're going to plunge it into something, this extra bit of flipper acts like a guard. It's a good knife, and I'm recommending this quite highly, as I am the original. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. To my Patreon supporters, I don't know if I'll find out from Patreon exactly who has given or who will be giving at the end of May. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have the video out for who's going to win for June before I get back from Atlanta. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to Blade Show. There's a company that's paying my way there. They bought tickets for me to go and represent Gritomatic / Hapstone at Blade Show. And they're non-refundable tickets, so I will be going. I think I might have to raise money for my own hotels. So that can easily be $500 because I've got to be there for 7 nights, and $80 a night. I might be able to find a place less. I don't know. So if anybody wants to help me out with paying for some funds for some hotel staying while I'm at Blade Show, I appreciate it very much. Those of you who are aware, I live on a disability pension. Funds are tight. I'm not begging. I'm just saying, if you want to help out, I appreciate it. To my Patreon supporters who help me out every month, you guys are awesome. And I'll make sure one of you gets one of the knives that I reviewed in May. It just might take until the middle of June till that happens, so please be patient with me. Thanks to everybody else. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.